You ever wake up at 3 a.m. for no reason, like your soul taps you on the shoulder and says, "Get up, we need to talk." That moment isn't random, that's not insomnia, that's alignment. That's your higher self trying to whisper before the noise of the world begins. Don't scroll past this, because if you've ever felt like something deeper is calling you in the dark hours, what I'm about to say might just shift the trajectory of your life. There's a sacred stillness at 3 a.m. It's not the hour of sleep, it's the hour of clarity. At 3 a.m., no likes, no comments, no noise, no filters, just truth. That hour is a portal, and if you listen closely, you'll hear what your spirit's been trying to say during the day. But you are too busy scrolling, working, proving, pretending. I've learned that when I wake up at 3 a.m., it's not because my body's restless. It's because my purpose is stirring. See, transformation never shows up with a warning. It creeps in the quiet, it whispers in the dark, it doesn't shout. It waits for you to get quiet enough to hear it. If you keep waking up at 3 a.m., consider this. Maybe it's not a coincidence, maybe it's a calling. You're not just randomly waking up at 3 a.m., that moment. It's not by chance. It's not a glitch in your sleep cycle or a bad dream. It's your soul saying, "Hey, we need to talk." That hour when everything is still, when the world is asleep, when the noise is finally gone, that's when the real messages come through. And those messages aren't found in books or social media or even conversations with others. They come from deep inside you. They come from the part of you that's been buried under distractions, doubts, and expectations. When you keep waking up at that same hour, over and over again, it's not your body that's trying to tell you something. It's your life, your alignment, your truth. See, the body may rest, but the soul never sleeps. And sometimes the only way the soul can get your attention is by pulling you out of your routine, waking you up in the middle of the night and whispering, "You're not living all the way yet." This is the hour of honesty. No noise, no pretending, no pressure. Just you and the raw truth of your desires, your fears, your purpose. And maybe you've ignored it before. Maybe you've brushed it off, turned over, gone back to sleep, thinking it's just a weird night. But when it keeps happening, that's not just a weird night anymore. That's a pattern, that's a wake-up call. Most people wait for signs in the sky or some big external push. But the truth is, the biggest signs are the quiet ones. The ones that show up in the dark. The ones that repeat until you finally listen. And you don't need a guru, a book, or a seminar to understand this. You just need to be still, to listen, to realize that you're being nudged towards something more. Something better, something real, because maybe you've been settling. Maybe you've been shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Maybe you've been following someone else's dream, someone else's version of success, and deep down, it doesn't feel right. That 3 a.m. moment, that's your chance to pause and ask, is this the life I want to keep waking up to? Don't rush to fill that moment with noise. Don't scroll. Don't distract. Just breathe. Just be. That hour isn't empty. It's full, full of messages, full of clarity, full of truth. We live in a world that rewards noise. The louder you are, the more attention you get. The faster you move, the more people applaud. But the truth is, the most powerful shifts in your life won't come from noise. They come from stillness, from silence, from moments when you finally pause long enough to hear your own thoughts. That 3 a.m. silence. That's not emptiness. That's space being made for something real to come through. Most people are scared of silence. They fill every second with something. Music, messages, screens, voices. Anything to avoid being alone with themselves. But in the silence, you meet the real you, not the version everyone else sees. Not the one who performs and smiles and pretends everything's okay. In the stillness, the masks fall off, And that's not something to be afraid of. That's something to lean into. Because clarity doesn't scream, purpose doesn't shout, growth doesn't come with flashing lights. It comes in whispers. It comes in the quiet moments when the world isn't watching and you finally start watching yourself. You finally ask the deeper questions. You finally sit with the discomfort, the dreams, the truth you've been avoiding during the day. And that's where change begins. Stillness is not weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to sit in silence and not run. It takes real power to slow down when everyone else is speeding up. It's in those early morning hours, when the world is sleeping and the noise is gone, that you get to reset. You get to breathe without pressure. You get to hear the thoughts that actually matter, not the ones society planted, but the ones that were born in your soul. That's when the ideas come, the vision, the clarity. Not when you're rushing through your day or multitasking through your life, but when you stop, when you sit, when you listen. Some of your best decisions, your strongest moments, your deepest insights, they don't come from doing more. They come from doing nothing, from being present, from letting your inner world rise to the surface. Stillness is not a pause from life, it is life. It's the space where your next chapter begins. It's where you connect to something greater than goals, greater than success, greater than noise. That 3 a.m. stillness, that's sacred, and if you trust it, it will lead you to answers you didn't even know you were searching for. There's this idea that purpose works on a schedule, that it shows up between 9 and 5, or only when you're feeling good, or when the timing is perfect. But that's not how it works. Purpose doesn't care what time it is. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It shows up when your spirit is finally quiet enough to hear it. That's why so many people wake up at 3 a.m., not because they're restless, but because something deeper is trying to get through. Something bigger is trying to speak. You think your dreams are sleeping, but they're not. You think your calling takes breaks, but it doesn't. Purpose never sleeps. It's always working, always whispering, always pulling you towards something that feels more like you. Even in the dark, especially in the dark, because that's when distractions fall away and you finally have space to notice what's been there all along. You may have thought you're behind or that you've missed your chance. But if you're waking up at 3 a.m., that's proof you haven't. That's proof your purpose is still alive, still moving, still calling. And the reason it comes in those early hours is because your mind is clear, your guard is down, and your heart is more open. You're more honest at 3 a.m. than you are at 3 p.m. You can't pretend when it's just you and the quiet, and maybe you've tried to ignore it. Maybe you've rolled over, turned on your phone, and scrolled just to drown it out. But every time you do, it comes back, because purpose doesn't quit. It waits, it nudges, it keeps showing up until you finally say, okay, I'm listening. That 3 a.m. moment is your soul clocking in for work. It's time to write, time to think, time to plan, time to pray, time to imagine the version of you that's been buried under the busy. This isn't just another night, it's a doorway, and you don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need to be willing to walk through it, be willing to say yes, be willing to believe that you were made for more, even if you can't fully see it yet, because purpose isn't about having it all figured out. It's about being available, open, ready, and sometimes the most powerful yes you'll ever give happens when the world is sleeping and only your purpose is awake. If you've ever laid in bed at 3 a.m. with your eyes wide open, wondering why you can't fall back asleep, that feeling isn't just about a restless night. It's a restless spirit, it's a sign, it's a message trying to get your attention. When your body can't settle, when your mind keeps racing, maybe it's not that you're broken or tired or stressed. Maybe it's because the life you're living doesn't match the life you were meant for. And deep down, your soul knows it. Restlessness is not something to ignore. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to silence with distractions. It's a signal. It's your inner voice rising up and saying, "We can't keep doing this." You weren't born just to pay bills, follow routines, and get by. You were born to create, to rise, to expand, to evolve. And when you start to drift too far from that truth, your spirit sends alarms, loud ones, and they don't sound like sirens. They sound like silence that won't let you sleep. That tight feeling in your chest, that racing heart at night, that ache that won't go away even after a good day, it's not anxiety, it's misalignment. Something in you knows there's more. Something in you knows you're capable of bigger, bolder, deeper things. And it won't let you rest until you start answering that call. You've been taught to push through, to numb it, to pretend everything's fine, but 3 a.m. doesn't care about pretending. It brings the truth forward, whether you're ready or not. It asks, are you really living, or are you just existing? And that question, it lingers, it stays, because you can only fake fulfillment for so long. Eventually, your soul demands the real thing. So if you feel like something inside you won't settle, that's not weakness. That's power trying to break free. That's your next level banging on the door. You're not lost. You're just being pushed to grow, pushed to look at your life and ask the hard questions. Am I happy? Am I being honest with myself? Am I choosing comfort over growth? Don't brush off the restlessness. Lean into it, because it's not there to torture you. It's there to transform you. That tension you feel, that's the edge of change. That's your breakthrough, trying to break through, and it always shows up before the shift. Always. When you keep waking up at 3 a.m., it's not just your sleep getting interrupted. It's your life trying to realign. Something inside you knows you've drifted away from your truth, and now it's pulling you back. That pull, that nudge, that invisible force, it's not random. It's your deeper self saying, let's go in a new direction. You don't need to fear it. You need to feel it. You need to trust it, because you weren't made to stay stuck. You weren't meant to settle for routines that drain you or dreams that don't belong to you. And the reason you feel that discomfort in the middle of the night is because your soul is done playing small. It's ready to rise, it's ready for something more, and when you start feeling that pull, that subtle shift, that quiet but constant voice, it's time to listen. That's not your imagination, that's your calling. There's a difference between existing and aligning, and the moment you begin to align with who you really are, life starts to feel different. It's not easier, but it's fuller, deeper, more honest, and alignment doesn't always come during the bright, busy hours of the day. Sometimes it finds you in the dark when everything is quiet, when the distractions are gone. That's when your truth has room to breathe. That's when you start to hear what really matters. You might not have the full picture yet. That's okay. Alignment isn't about having all the answers. It's about saying yes to the shift. It's about recognizing that what used to fit no longer does. It's about giving yourself permission to outgrow what no longer serves your peace. And growth doesn't wait for a convenient time. Sometimes it knocks at 3 a.m. That tug you feel, that's your life asking you to stop hiding, to stop forcing, to stop pretending. It's asking you to come home to yourself. And maybe it feels scary because it's unfamiliar. Maybe it feels uncomfortable because it requires change. But every new version of you begins with a moment of discomfort. Every breakthrough begins with a breaking point. You're being guided back to your real path, not the one others created for you, not the one you chose out of fear, but the one your heart keeps whispering about. That alignment you're being pulled toward, it's not just better, it's you. The real you, the free you, the fulfilled you. There's something powerful about what happens in the dark, when no one's watching, when the world is asleep, when it's just you, your thoughts, your doubts, and your dreams. That's the space where real change starts. That's the place where greatness begins. Not under bright lights or on big stages, but in the quiet, private, unseen moments that most people ignore. And what you choose to do in that space. That shapes everything. Those 3 a.m. thoughts, they matter. Those early morning tears, those late night prayers, those journal pages full of truth that you'd never say out loud. That's the real work. That's where confidence is built. That's where healing begins. That's where vision starts to form. People will see the final product one day, but they'll never fully understand the process. They'll celebrate your wins, but they won't know about the nights you sat in silence just trying to believe in yourself again. It's easy to show up when everyone's clapping. It's easy to smile when life feels good. But what you do when it's just you and the quiet, that defines you. That's where strength is built. That's where character grows. That's where you meet the version of you that doesn't care about validation, only about truth. And truth doesn't need an audience. It just needs your attention. This is why the dark hours are sacred. Because it's in the dark that seeds are planted. It's in the dark that roots grow deep. It's in the dark that the strongest foundations are laid. And even though it feels lonely, even though it feels heavy, you're not lost. You're being prepared. You're being shaped into someone who can carry the weight of what you've been asking for. Most people skip this part. They want the light without the work. They want the rewards without the reflection. But you're different. You've been called to build something that lasts. And that starts in the unseen hours, in the decision to keep going when no one's cheering, in the choice to believe when everything feels uncertain. So when you're awake at 3 a.m. and the world feels still, remember this isn't wasted time. This is sacred ground. This is where the shift happens. This is where your next chapter is being written, not with noise, but with intention. Every thought you sort through, every truth you admit, every dream you dare to think about, that's you creating your future. That's you stepping into the light, even while standing in the dark. So the next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., don't curse the hour, embrace it. Sit up, be still, listen, because maybe, just maybe, this is the hour everything changes.